Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the debt you inherited from a relative you didn't know you had. This is Trevin, and I am joined by my friend Kim from True Crime Rhymes with Vodka.
Well, hello. How's it going, Trevin?
You know, it's going okay. This isn't going to be my dilemma, but I will say that just so people are wondering where Amanda is, Amanda is sick again. And this time it was a big enough sick that it actually got in the way of the show this time.
Yeah, that's not fun. Not good. But I'm happy to hang out with you tonight and step in, try to help.
Yeah, I'm happy that you were able to come in last minute and do this. And I couldn't be more thankful of you to do it.
Of course.
Kim has been a friend of the show's for almost since the beginning. I think we were only 3 or 4 months old when we went to the True Crime Podcast Festival in Kansas City, and we met you guys there, and you and Jackie were instantly our best friends there.
We really loved you guys. I mean, it helped that we were right next to you, but obviously, without a doubt, favorite people that we met. And yeah, I didn't realize you guys were that new, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I've started to go back and listen to your older episodes, but I kind of jumped in right when we met you, and so I didn't realize, I didn't even realize it was that recent.
Yeah, we had started in March, and that first festival was in July.
Dang, you guys just jumped right in.
Yeah.
Like naturals.
It helped that it was in Kansas City. We just thought,
totally.
I guess we'll do this. I don't even know what this is. We ended up meeting a lot of people who've been in the business for so long, and it was just really weird to us. We're like, I don't know. We just did this on a whim. It's right next door. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. All the cool people were in one section. It was Generation Y, you guys, us. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. There were so many cool people there. I feel like I have a whole new group of friends. So
yeah, even when we went back this last year in Dallas, that was great to have seen everybody again. And it's fun to enjoy the company of people who've been there and are going through the same kind of stuff.
Definitely.
So Kim, do you have a dreadful dilemma to share with us?
Oh, gosh. You know, it's funny you ask. I have had all the anxiety this week because of my dreadful dilemma. I am flying for the first time in a while next weekend. Yeah, flying.
Where are you flying to?
I'm going to Boston, actually, for a wedding. So it's going to be great. Never been there. I'm sure I will enjoy the trip when I get there. But on Monday morning, I was driving to work and I'm looking at the sky on the road and I'm seeing all these chemtrails. And I'm just like at the stoplight thinking, shit, I've already got the Monday scaries. And now I got to worry about flying in a plane. Of course, the one plane was so far up there. I felt like I was in St. Louis looking at the arch in high school again. I was getting that same level of anxiety. I'm like, that is so high up there. But anyway, basically, I was just freaking out about it. But it's going to be okay. Flying is great. I'm trying to work through my aerophobia because it's a real fucking thing. But Jackie's like my podcast partner. She flies once a week. And she's like, you just need to have a takeoff song. Put your headphones in, wear some wool socks. I'm like, you clearly don't have the level of anxiety that a lot of us do flying. You could put my whole body in wool and I'm not going to be comfortable in a plane.
I wouldn't be comfortable covered in wool either.
Right? So itchy.
So have you figured out what your song's going to be? I have a suggestion.
Oh, do you? What do you got?
Well, you're going to Boston, so I feel like the Shipping Off to Boston song.
Oh, yes.
Shipping Off to Boston.
That's a good
one.
That, or if you want to go a little more emo with it, I'll be like, think I'll go to Boston. Who sings that?
Augustana.
Oh, yeah. So it was Augustana. So I don't know. I might throw on some Dropkick Murphys. I might throw on some Augustana. I'm not sure yet.
I love having a theme song like that.
Yeah. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, no problem. It's scary. I totally feel the same way. I have a terrible fear of heights. I get myself psyched up about planes too, but something about being part of something bigger like that doesn't scare me quite as bad.
Yeah.
Like I'll have this happen all the time where I'll just like lay in bed and try to imagine me standing on top of a building And then I just imagine the wind blowing me completely off. I can't even get my brain to ground myself mentally and just think about that because I irrationally think, oh no, the wind's just going to just take me off like every time. So I totally get the fear of being way up there.
Yeah, I do feel like I have a bittersweet feeling when I'm in an airplane, especially takeoff and landing. It feels kind of exciting and cool, but I'm also just like, I should probably take a couple chill pills, maybe a beer before I take off. I don't know. For me, it's just, I feel mixed emotions about it. So I'm just a little nervous. But what is your dreadful dilemma this week?
So for me, I am actually having animal problems again.
Oh no.
I try not to have animal dilemmas that often because in our beginning of the show, I made a joke and said that we're the show that talks about cats, crime, and nothing in between because we just always had animal issues. I'll tell myself, hey, I'll do one, and I have to give myself like a 3-show break because I don't want to just always be like, oh, my animals today. But Amanda's favorite kitty of mine, Freddie, was having some breathing issues on Sunday night.
Oh, no.
It was very shallow, quick breathing. And at certain points, if he would exert himself a little bit, it was just kind of a...
That's really scary for a kitty to be making those noises.
He's a young guy. He's 3.5 years old. And it just seemed a little out of character for him. He comes from a farm. He's a farm cat. And we didn't really know what his background was. So Emily and I have always kind of joked with each other like... Well, I mean, it's kind of a dark humor thing, but we're just like, who knows what Freddie's got because he's just comes from a weird lineage of...
He's a little feral.
Farm cats. Yeah. So we got him tested, and it turns out that Freddie has asthma.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's not life-threatening, so that is good, but obviously that would be so scary to experience. I'm glad that you guys took him in.
Yeah, I'm glad we did too. It cost $900. They did blood tests. They did x-rays to check his chest. I guess it's common for that kind of symptom to be for like heart failure too, so they wanted to make sure.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But on top of all of that, it is just really nice to know that Freddie, all the jokes that we make about his lineage, Freddie actually is completely healthy besides his little asthma issues.
Oh, well, that's good. Poor baby boy. I'm sure Amanda will be happy to know that he's okay after that scare.
She's been sick, so I haven't even filled her in on it because it's just, I know she was puking a bunch. So, I just try not to trouble her with anything else. She's trying to get better.
Yeah.
So this week, you were able to come together with a killer fact last minute for me, which I couldn't be more thankful for.
Oh, yes.
So let's roll those killer facts.
Hello?
We've traced the facts. They're coming from inside the house.
Killer facts.
So, being that I am a tooth artist, obviously I'm a podcaster, but I also do work in a dental lab by day. And this article just popped out at me for that reason. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about a Canadian fella named Francis Wharton. Francis was known to be a resourceful hunter and inventor back in the 50s and 60s. This being one of the reasons he was known as the Backwoods Wizard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting name.
That's a pretty great.
Well, he's an interesting fella, let me tell you. So one of the reasons he was a backwood wizard was because he lived alone outdoors in the woods of British Columbia, Canada. During one of his excursions, Francis started having some serious tooth pain. And obviously, being out in the sticks, there wasn't a lot of dental clinics nearby. And being a resourceful guy, Francis decided he was going to take matters into his own hands. And he decided one day that he was going to kill a deer, which, that's pretty standard for him. But he decided he was just going to go out and kill this deer and, just like take all of its teeth out and make a damn denture out of the deer's teeth.
Oh my gosh.
So that happened. How he did this, he just basically took all the teeth out of the deer and essentially just ground all the teeth down to nothing and then made like a plate molding out of so what you would have in a denture is like the roof of your mouth. He made that out of plastic wood and then glued the teeth in with just like household cement that you can get at a hardware store.
He grounded the teeth down and then took like the teeth powder and then reformed them into new teeth?
He just ground the teeth down to little nubbins, like little tiny teeth, because teeth have long roots. So he basically made them like human size, which would take a little bit of artistic ability, this Francis
For
guy.
real.
So he made this denture out of this plastic wood base. And then he just took all these little ground down teeth and just laid them out like you would in a denture. Like at work when I set teeth in wax, I'll send some pictures of this appliance. But
Oh, please.
essentially, like he just made his own damn denture. Then he cooked up the deer and ate the deer with the deer's own teeth. So I was just like, what? When I stumbled across this, I was like, I have got to tell Trevin about this because I've never seen anything like it.
That sounds like a really weird threat that somebody would make.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm going to make your teeth into my teeth and then eat you with your teeth.
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that. I have another fun fact about good old Francis here is that according to my sources, he made his own bullets and guns to fight off animals because he was out there living in the wilderness. And as an act of revenge, he went on to just kill 8 bears. And he did this just because he was pissed because one of them had killed his pet ram. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to kill all you. Sorry. So Francis was like some kind of guy. I can't decide if he was savage or metal or resourceful, maybe a little bit of everything. I don't know.
I feel like metal bands would like him for sure.
Seriously. But going back to the dentures, he used those for over 3 years. I guess people who had seen him with his teeth in had said that they were loose and dark and kind of dirty, which I'm guessing
I bet.
if he had these teeth in this base with cement, they probably, I don't know. I think I was just very fascinated by the story because your jaws are very strong and like to have made a denture out of animal teeth, I've never seen anything like it. And in closing, I will just say that his dentures are actually on display at a museum of healthcare in Kingston, Ontario.
It is really impressive to be able to pull that together. I mean, if you're just kind of a dirty old woodsman, I wouldn't think that you would go through the trouble of even compiling such a thing.
And to wear them for 3 years. I see dentures that people can't even wear for 6 months because they're so broken down. So I was just like, damn, I feel like this guy needs to come work with me.
So he is like an amateur of what you do.
I don't know. I feel like he could probably teach me some things.
Yeah. And with training, think of how dangerous he could be at your job.
I know. He'd be taking my job. So anyway, that's what I've got for you.
So those teeth are on display. Are there pictures of like this dude smiling with his shitty teeth?
Yes, I will definitely throw you a picture of him with his maxillary denture because it's only one. It's actually just the upper.
Oh.
Only one. I'm sure he'd be mad at me for saying that.
I mean, that's a hell of a feat. So yeah, I wouldn't knock it, even though it's disgusting.
No, it is very disgusting. I actually told one of the doctors I work with about it. I was like, so this is what I'm going to tell my friend tonight. And he looked like he was going to vomit in the trash can. I was like, perfect. It's a killer fact. It's great.
Yeah, that's a killer fact. Yeah, I know I would be doing Amanda a great disservice if I didn't ask about the pictures.
I've got all the pictures for you. So
Sweet.
I'll send them your way.
I'm excited. Make sure you're following us on socials so we can see this awful smile.
Yeah.
So I have a killer fact for you.
Oh, okay. What you got?
We'll talk a little bit more about your actual show here before you tell your story. But just so anybody doesn't know, Kim and Jackie, like I said, are from True Crime Rhymes with Vodka, which they like to drink and tell true crime stories. So I thought maybe I would do a killer fact that had to do with alcohol.
Oh, here we go. I'm here for it.
I'm trying to think. When I listen to you guys, you're usually actually, drinking vodka. I know Danny usually drinks some sort of whiskey. I think he drinks beer sometimes.
Yeah, he kind of dabbles in everything.
So have you ever heard of the 1814 London beer flood?
No, but do tell.
Over 380,000 gallons of beer
Holy shit.
broke loose from a brewery in St. Giles, London,
Oh my gosh.
back in 1814. 8 people were killed and countless people injured. There was a 22-foot tall, 60 feet wide barrel that held 135,000 gallons.
Wow.
It was held together with 29 metal belts that wrapped around it, and one of those metal belts broke.
Oh.
When that belt broke, it caused all of the other belts to break as well. And when that broke, it ended up breaking all of the other ones in the same building with it.
Wow. Sounds about right.
It resulted in 380,000 gallons of beer.
Jackie was here. She'd be like, what's that percentage, though?
It was over 1 million pounds of beer.
Oh, okay. That's a pretty high percentage. Wow. I mean, all jokes aside is something I often say. That is horrible. And what a horrible way to die. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they said that the brewery was actually pretty secluded, but there was a densely populated place down in front of it. And so this huge amount of beer just rushed through it real quick and just rampaged through it.
Oh my gosh.
It hit a pub, which it actually took some buildings straight off of their foundation.
Well, yeah.
And one of the guys in the pub was one of the ones that died because basically the building just kind of collapsed on him because the beer just tackled the building and dropped it. There was a small girl and her friend out having tea outside, and the beer just washed them away.
Oh my gosh.
After that had happened, though, there were people that just went nuts and were like, free beer.
Oh,
And so they were actually kind of getting in the way and stopping people from trying to save the people that were trapped from this huge beer explosion. And so they said that people armed with pots, pans, kettles, and cups all tried to just run out there and get as much beer as they could get.
wow.
And there was even people that came out with their bare hands trying to just scoop it up off the ground and drink it so it didn't get wasted.
From being a bartender for years, I have an image in my head of specific people that I know personally that would be doing that. But yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
It
gosh.
sucks because that army of people did stop emergency services from getting to do their job.
That's horrible. Wow.
But the brewery went to court over the incident and were actually found innocent because they said that it was an act of God and not their fault.
Oh, wow. Okay, so remind me when this happened again?
This was 1814,
Okay.
St. Giles, London, and it happened on October 17th.
Many, many years ago. Wow.
Many.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for telling me about that. I have never heard about that. That is horrifying, but appropriate for a killer fact. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's scary, but it's also just so interesting. I had no idea that such a thing had happened.
I know. I can't wait to tell Jackie.
So this week, we're actually going to do stories a little different. Kim and Jackie, with their show, not only do they talk about true crime and alcohol, they also have these drunken debauchery stories that they like to tell at the end after a very heavy subject matter, murder story or something. And it's their lighthearted way of ending the show with a laugh. So because we were kind of put in a position to think fast, I had a story written and I didn't want to put anything on Kim to say, hey, write a story in 24 hours for me. So she's actually pulling out one of her favorite drunken debauchery stories, and she's going to tell it in our normal live, laugh, larceny way. And I will still do my music and sound effects behind it, but I think it's still going to be very petty from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I will go first and give us our regular expected type story, and then we will save the best for last and let Kim tell hers.
Sounds good.
Mine this week, I don't know how much of a preamble I really have. I'm sure you've been through certain situations where you really wanted something, but it just wasn't available, supply and demand.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I have a story that delves deep into just how heavy a situation of resource scarcity can be.
Oh, let's hear it.
Without further ado, here we go. Let's talk about resource scarcity. When the demand for a resource is higher than its supply, this can make life pretty damn difficult. When a resource is scarce, especially one that is vital to a species' survival, the species must band together and find a way to work around their newly found limitation. That supply must be stretched to accommodate everyone. This means no frivolous uses are allowed, and it must be used or consumed in a situation of great need. I have had a terrible day. Please give me the last ice cream. But the problem with our experiences with resource scarcity is that we are human. And boy, do humans suck. Unlike other species in the world, we humans have a terrible habit of not cooperating with each other.
I refuse!
It either comes down to an odd form of competition, or some simply just think they matter more. I'm sure without me getting dubbed as being too political, you can think of a pretty recent situation in which some humans didn't want to work within the group. to help save resources and lives.
I wonder what he's referencing.
The thing is, we have built a hierarchy of what it means to hold a higher status. And in a lot of cases, the more of a resource you hold, the higher status you hold.
I have a different car for every day of the week.
Damn, I wish my dick was as big as yours.
Remember during the pandemic, when there wasn't as much toilet paper in stores? Certain people would rush and hoard all they could.
It's mine!
They didn't have more butt to wipe than anyone else. They just felt their asses deserved it more. There are always going to be those types in a situation of insufficient supply that are going to respond in panic. Whether it be an act of fear, survival, or just a need to dominate, these individuals will act in aggression. This can throw a wrench in the natural order of how the majority attempts to survive and cause the group to battle scarcity as well as themselves. This is exactly why humans will eventually bring themselves to extinction. But while we are all here, why don't I share a story of an act of total pettiness? It's the least I can do after bringing you the sad news that we will inevitably end our own existence. I mean, what is a comedy podcaster if not a modern-day string quartet member playing a beautiful song as the Titanic sinks?
It's been an honor podcasting with you.
Jean-Luc Depube was a shop owner in a small town just outside of Paris, France. Passed down from generation to generation, it was Jean's turn to bring honor to his family's name by running their popular local store, Oui-Oui Grocery. The Depube family had built a community around their popular store. They were everyone's go-to for the freshest eggs, the coldest milk, and even a great stop for some small-town gossip.
Guess who's getting divorced?
Over the years, Jean's relatives had been asked about branching out and starting a chain of stores. But every time, they turned the investors down. Oui-Oui Grocery was there to serve their small town, and only their small town. Throughout the store's decades of business, it had seen a lot of challenges. From shoplifting teenagers,
Hey, come back here!
to the time the local chickens went on strike for better pay. Each time an obstacle would present itself, the Depube family would step up and handle it professionally. But all of these would pale in comparison to the great mustard shortage of 2022. Thanks to a perfect storm of climate change issues, the coronavirus pandemic, rising inflation rates, and crop-eating insects, the nation of France was hit hard with a shortage of mustard seeds. And this is no laughing matter. Mustard is a staple in French diets. Mustard is the most popular condiment for French fries and sandwiches. It is the main ingredient of steak tartare, and some people even spread it on toast like others would butter. Quite simply put, the French diet runs on mustard. As you can imagine, this disruption in mustard production has caused a great disturbance in the halls of Oui-Oui Grocery. Just 3 months before, Jean had gotten 1 case of mustard, and that was the last he had seen of it. He put it on his shelves, it sold out, and he hadn't seen a new shipment since. There was no warning. It was just gone. Like Joni Mitchell sang in her hit song, Big Yellow Taxi, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? But instead of paving paradise and putting up a parking lot, the mustard supplier sent 1 case of mustard and then ghosted Jean. It had turned his small town into a sad and desolate place. People would come in and yell at the store's employees for the shortage,
This is bullshit!
while online communities passed around conspiracy theories that all supermarkets were hoarding mustard to hike up the prices. It was a time of anger and great distrust. Every time the collective attitude would start to die down, someone would make French fries and get mad all over again.
Oh, son of a bitch!
The French people were seeing red, and that's not just because they had to settle for ketchup. On a warm August day, as Jean was in his back office, Staring longingly at Google Images results for French's mustard, he was startled by the sound of a loud truck pulling up. Jean jumped up from his chair and opened up the back door. He couldn't believe his eyes. There, backed up to the rear entrance, was the big, generic mustard truck.
Yippee! Oui-Oui!
Jean yelled as he jumped up and clicked his heels.
Good day, Mr. DePube. I've got 1 case of mustard jars for you,
the delivery driver stated. Although Jean wanted more than 1 case, he knew he had to take what he could get. The delivery driver dropped the case off and went on his way. Once the driver was gone, Jean ripped the box open and held the beautiful yellow bottle above his head.
You're finally here, my love,
Jean said to the container of mustard.
Oh, how I've missed your warm and tangy touch.
Not only was he excited for his own food needs, but he was ecstatic to finally be able to give the gift of mustard back to his fair community. Before putting the mustard on the shelves, he went to his office and created a sign on Microsoft Word. In a bold font and all caps, Jean typed, 1 bottle per customer, and printed it out. This sign was just what he needed to keep his stock up in the store. As he walked away from the freshly stocked shelf with a newly placed sign, he heard his first customer approach the mustard.
Sacre bleu!
Their excited cheers of glee warmed his heart. It was the talk of the town. Angry customers would come in with perma-frowns and walk out with a big smile and a single jar of mustard.
Daddy's having French fries tonight.
Oui-Oui Grocery had turned into a machine that turned grumpy people into happy citizens. Some customers had even come in stating that they were going to wrap the mustard and give it as a gift. But little did Jean know, there was a villain just lurking around the store. A mysterious man sat outside of the store, smoking a cigarette and thinking evil thoughts, as he was interrupted by a mother and child exiting.
Oh my, Mommy, I can't believe we have a bottle of mustard,
the child shouted to his mother. The man immediately put his cigarette out on a store poster, right on the nose of a child in the picture. It was obvious that this man was about to do something diabolical. Entering through the same door he watched the mother and child exit, this villainous individual walked the aisles with devilish intent. He made sure to keep a low profile and not draw much attention to himself. Grabbing a baguette to help him blend in, he made his way to the mustard aisle. There sat 2 mustards. Even a cold-hearted bad guy such as this couldn't keep his emotions to himself as he began to weep.
It's been too long, old friend,
the man said to the shelf of yellow condiments as he read the sign and picked up 1 jar for himself. One vile step after the other, the man made his way to register number 1. He paid with exact change, took his bag, and went out the door. But for the man, his shopping trip was not over. He loaded his phallic loaf of bread and mustard into the back seat of his car before locking it back up and going back into the store. This time, with a little more urgency, the man went directly for the mustard. I won't tell if you don't, the man said to the last mustard. He picked up the jar, but this time walked to register number 2. He paid promptly with cash and left. While reviewing the security cameras, Jean saw the man leave with the purchased second jar of mustard. He spit out his coffee and yelled. Running up to the front, it became clear that it was too late.
It's too late.
The evil man had already left with a second jar of mustard. Jean was distraught. He had let down his community and brought shame upon the DePube name. He called Margaret, the cashier of Register 2, back to review the security tapes. Without a doubt, the two watched the man buy the first jar of mustard, re-enter, and buy a second jar from her. Margaret didn't recognize the man, and no matter how good the photos from the security cameras were, they could not identify him.
Don't tell anyone about this,
Jean said to Margaret.
I'm going to do some investigating. This information could be the end of Oui-Oui Grocery.
However, not even 5 minutes after this very damning situation unfolded, everyone in town began to talk. The other vendors were told of the Great Mustard Caper, as they told their colleagues in the grocery store network, until customers eventually began to talk about it too.
Are you kidding me?
People made threats on the life of the man, while others got mad at Jean for not having a security guard hired, specifically to keep guard on the mustard. A popular French condiment TikToker by the name of Claire Dinhut even caught word of it from her egg courier, as she made a viral video explaining her distaste for this person. "It's audacity!" she can be heard yelling to her followers, as she explains the situation in the small town. In the summer of 2022, the nation of France was hit with a major mustard shortage. Through pandemic, climate, and inflation issues, the world's second largest importer of mustard had run out. In one very specific instance, an unidentified man went into a grocery store and purchased 2 jars of mustard on separate transactions while using 2 different registers, just to bypass the store's 1 jar per customer rule. The people of the town were livid, as other citizens of the country backed them up with the shared rage. For the French diet, a mustard shortage is a serious thing, and to bend the rules just to hoard the mustard shows a major lack of character and honor. Luckily for the French people, the mustard shortage didn't last forever, and hopefully the nation has found a way to prevent further shortages in the future. The Great French Mustard Shortage of 2022 is just another one of those situations that show how there's always someone in a society that refuses to work with the collective to ensure survival. My hope is that all of you listening today can see what one little selfish act can do to the rest of the population and prevent the same mistake from happening again. Because it doesn't stop at mustard. A self-serving act against your own kind is as tasteless as a plain French fry.
Oh my God. I freaking love it so much.
Emily had actually told me about that one and was very excited about it. I was like, you have to do it, you have to do it. And she found it right after I did the story about the woman who staged the break-in and then spoke in French.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Emily, I can't do 2 French stories this close together.
Sure you can. Sure you can.
I had to sit on it for a while, but I finally did it, so she can be happy. But it really was a thing where Canada is the leading importer, and Canada was just hit with all the inflation and moving the mustard seeds over. Because everybody thinks that because, Dijon is in France, that they would be the main one, but they're not. They also had their own problems as well. But the French people really do. It's steak tartare. They put it on French fries and sandwiches.
And everything. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I feel like I knew that because Jackie is a French major and she's always talking about France. The other day we were talking about mustard because I'm more of a ketchup person myself. And I feel like everyone around me is a mustard person. But it really does add so much flavor to everything. I feel like I'm jealous. I wish I could be a mustard person. It's better for you. It's lower in calories. There's not sugar in mustard. I mean, I'm sure there is.
That's the only reason why I became a mustard enjoyer was because when I was 23 was when I decided to go through my body transformation and lose weight and everything. And I was real OCD about it. So I was trying to find anything 0 calorie I could. So it was always buffalo sauce and mustard because those were always the lowest. And plus they say that something in mustard seed helps burn fat. I don't know how true that is, but I definitely took it to heart for the longest time. I still enjoy it, but...
Oh, totally. What a great story, though. That was a great story, Trevin.
Thank you. But yeah, I had no idea that was even a thing. That happened earlier this year. And I mean, these people were really mad. Some of that wasn't even a joke. People had even said, I got mustard to wrap and give as gifts. Like that was a real thing.
Yeah, I actually did hear about that.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. But I mean, not really, because it is kind of the superior condiment. Not here where we like our sugar and everything.
Oh yeah, we usually just have some fancy kind of ranch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And everywhere you go, I was just talking to somebody I work with about ranch. I was like, you could literally get the runny ranch at any fucking restaurant on any corner in Omaha. Not the mustard.
Yeah. I went to a wedding and they just had chipotle aioli, which blew my mind. I was just like, oh my God, this is so good. I want to put this on everything.
For sure.
Because it was just as spicier, kind of ranchy, milky thing, and I loved it.
Was DePube their actual last name?
Yeah, what that last name,
The pube was made up. Oui-Oui Grocery was made up. There wasn't a specific store that was hit. In the articles I read, they had interviewed a guy, and I could not say his name if I tried, but they didn't say that it was his store. They just said, oh, we talked to a store owner that has dealt with these same issues. It wasn't the owner of the store that got hit. So I thought, I'll just go and make all of that up. That lady's local one, though, and that whole town talked about this dude who took 2 mustards. Legally, just, without honor.
Yeah.
that bastard.
No characters were real except for the TikToker because, I think she's what made the story
Oh, yeah.
be known here in America.
Mhm. For sure.
If it's not on TikTok, it ain't real.
I know. I was looking on TikTok earlier today because I'm on this weight loss shot, and I was like, I wonder how everyone else is doing on 10 milligrams. And I was like, did I really just go to TikTok for medical advice? I did. This is where we're at.
I'll go on a side tangent that I find to be a bit annoying, but meme culture started, 10 plus years ago. And it almost felt like people didn't want to watch movies anymore because, I know Superbad because of the 3 quotes that got turned into memes. I don't need to sit for an hour and 40 minutes to see a story when my favorite part is when I see the thing that got turned into a picture. Now TikTok is becoming almost like the video version of a meme where it's just like, I'm not going to watch this documentary. I'm just going to wait till somebody does a 30-second TikTok that gives me all the cliff notes that I care about.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'm done.
Yeah.
God, I hate that.
Yeah, it's horrible.
We're robbing ourselves of just taking in information slowly and whatnot.
Absolutely. But this is the new
Fuck it.
some people's kids. I don't know.
It's just the way things are going. I'm just sounding
is.
old the more I hate on TikTok.
I know. I hate it. I'm like, get off my lawn a little bit more every day.
Yeah. I've been using TikTok so much more for the show too, so I feel uncomfortable doing it the whole time. Luckily, I can recycle our recordings, but when it's me trying to do a trend or something, I'm like, this isn't me. I shouldn't be doing this.
But you're totally killing it, though. You are. I watched that TikTok with Mabel probably like 10 times in a row. And then Brett sent it to me because he's like your other biggest fan. And he's like, did you see this? And I was like, yes, I watched it earlier. We're dorks.
Oh, I love just trying to make fun of the things I do. Like this whole idea of this show was just making fun of how over serious some true crime shows can take themselves. And so I was like, I want to play with that. And so that's what my TikTok is. It's like, I'm going to hate on TikTok while doing TikTok. And that's either ironic or dumb. I don't know.
No, but it's great for like people who listen to your podcast because then if you've listened to the actual podcast, you know why you're posting a picture of Mabel talking about how she likes to piss off the neighbors and drink her Prosecco and whatnot. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. And luckily her expressions just fit it so perfectly.
She's so cute. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want to hug her.
So you have brought us your drunken debauchery story.
I'm going to go ahead and pull one of our drunken debaucheries from the archives. This was pretty early on. This was in our late teens, early 20s. The youth days of our podcast.
The good audio days, as I like to look at them for myself.
Oh, yeah. The much drunker days. But here we go. I will remember my 21st birthday for the rest of my life. I remember it so vividly before the blackout hit. I was a full-time kitchen manager at the Ranch Bowl. This was about when I was at the age of 21. For those who don't know, the Ranch Bowl was a live music venue and bowling alley in Omaha, Nebraska. This place was a staple back in the day, but now it's a Walmart. Rest in peace. So I wanted to be as close to all the live concert magic that I possibly could be, and cooking was my only qualification to get there at that time. I have 3.5 years of so many stories from that job, but God bless Jared Leto for making my 21st so incredible in some great and some kind of fucked up way. The date was July 11th, 2004. 30 Seconds to Mars was touring for their very first major album release, and many won't remember the one important thing about that band at the time. It was that Jared wanted it to be a complete secret that he was in the band. His name wasn't on the album. No pictures of the band were released at that time. They marketed the sound idea and not the band members. And this was 100% Jared's wishes as the songwriter. Few people were hip to Jared Leto secretly being in the band by that point, me being one of them. I had seen them live once before, but they were nowhere close to being internationally recognized at all at that point. After all, 30 Seconds to Mars was still playing in smaller venues, maybe 400 people at a time. I took the night off from work and asked my favorite manager for a birthday present. "Hey boss, let me be 30 Seconds to Mars errand runner for the day. I'll do it for free." To my surprise, he happily obliged, and I was pumped. Anyone who knows me knows I have a passion for audio production and engineering. When I was 21, I couldn't mix a record or a live concert at all, but I could play a mean guitar and make it sound killer. So I was hoping to ask the band a question or two about their great sounding record. Luckily for me, that went over really well. The band was thrilled that I knew about them recording the album with Bob Ezrin. By the way, he's the producer of Pink Floyd's The Wall, if you didn't know. It didn't take long for me to spill the beans that it was my birthday, and Jared promised that I would get some hang time and drinks together with him after the concert. I was screaming internally at this point. After the band had everything they needed from me, the drinks started pouring in from all my coworkers and the bar stations around the ranch ball. I paced myself like a good kid because there wasn't enough free drinks in the world to keep me from being smashed before I hung out with Jared Leto. I was determined to maintain functional sobriety. God bless the part-time kitchen worker that night because he made me food 3 different times.
Damn, you are hungry.
Energies were great. It was such an amazing evening. The concert was amazing. The local bands that opened up did great too. The goofiest thing that stuck out to me was the group of scantily clad women in a sea of black t-shirts who were there for Jared and not for the band. They kept screaming, "I want a SLD," between songs. Jared looked perplexed. I think he was wondering how they found out he was there as well. He had a giant black X of soot on his forehead with soot dragged down from his cheeks to his eyes. He ignored the women through the entire show and kept playing his parts.
You can't ignore me forever, Jared.
The Ranch Bowl closed the bowling alley bar and made it 30 Seconds to Mars green room for the evening, so the band essentially had their own private bar after the show. I met them in there when they were done and learned some valuable insight from Jared and his brother Shannon on modifying guitar amps to get special sounds from them. Jared's brother Shannon was the real guitar nerd like me, and he was the one who helped Jared design the legendary guitar tone. You can also see Shannon playing drums for Jared when he was Jordan Catalino on the TV show My So-Called Life. They played music together their whole lives. I was geeking out hard on this. Jared gave me a drink and said, "This is my all-time favorite, man. I hope you like it." So I took a sip. It was delicious. The drink turned out to be a 7 and 7, which I have loved ever since. In fact, I had 2 of them with him and followed them up with my first shot of the evil that is Rumpelmints. I continued to have more with their bass player, Matt. This is where the night started going a little south. A tour manager came in and without saying a word, he handed Jared a piece of paper. His face went a bit blank. He dropped the ultimate half smile, one I can only compare to the likes of Gus Fring in Breaking Bad, that smile that says, "I have shit to handle, but we're cool," and he left the green room area quickly. By this time, I felt pretty welcome by the band and was going to respectfully give them some space. I went to the common area to see who was still hanging out. Within seconds, I noticed tension in the main hallway. Jared and his tour manager were having a conversation with the guitarist of an opening band, and boom, just like that, Jared crumpled up a piece of paper, lobbed it towards the guy, spit in his face, and choked him against the wall. That escalated very quickly, I thought. It intensified into a multi-person brawl fast, but was slowed down quickly by security, and everyone slowly let up, including Jared's grip on the Omaha guitarist's throat. Want to know why he snapped? The guitarist printed his own flyers with Jared Leto's face all over them to get more people to the show. It was 100% written in the tour rider that no one should use Jared Leto's likeness or name publicly in any sort with discussing 30 Seconds to Mars. I never spoke to Jared again that night and moved on to beginning my goodbyes to people from that evening. Minutes later, though, it was just past midnight and no longer my birthday. I was purchased my first shot of 151 by a singer of a local band and another shot of Rumplemint's because, hey, it was good earlier. Why wouldn't it be now? And soon after commenced blackout mode. Luckily, I woke up in my bed with a friendly, familiar acquaintance the next morning. She took me home safely and remembers our first time, where I don't at all. I never will. Damn it, Rumplemint's.
What a turn there at the end.
Yeah, you can totally cut that out, but I had to at least tell you what he said.
So that's a really cool story. I know that like the whole blackout thing kind of sucks and everything, but meeting a celebrity, don't think a celebrity has ever shown up in one of our stories before.
Oh, really?
Which I find really cool.
Never had Jared in your story?
Definitely never had Jared in my stories. I'm trying to think back if that's ever happened, but I don't think so. Unless not counting like a news one where I had the NASCAR driver. But as far as especially a personal story like that,
Yeah.
That's really cool to have a petty story with a celebrity in it.
Yeah, he's one of my really good friends. He's actually also a dental lab tech too, and very, very talented musician. And it's just funny thinking back to him being that young and being in the industry and then meeting Jared Leto and then seeing him fight with people he knows. And it's funny to hear it back. So I thought it'd be a good one to share.
Yeah, I really find that interesting. I don't know that much about 30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
I know a few of their songs.
Did 30 Seconds to Mars exist before Jared Leto joined and that's why it was a secret? Or was it like a secret that 30 Seconds to Mars was fronted with Jared Leto and it was like a very new band just in general?
Danny, do you...
I think it's the latter one.
I
It's
think-
a very new band that was fronted by Jared. Should we fact check that?
Yeah,
real
just
quick?
fact check it so we know. Come on.
Yeah, we're going to fact check that one. I think they had 2 albums that I listened to frequently at one point in my life, but
I think he was trying to avoid being in the spotlight, like he was saying.
I don't think he wanted his film career to influence people going to see shows.
he just didn't want that to be what put the butts in the seats. He wanted it to be for the music and not for him.
Yeah, he was like, I need to be seen as a musician and not an actor. I'm more than just a pretty face.
What happens when you're famous? It didn't work that way.
Yeah. Are we supposed to feel bad for you, Jared? Not that much.
So yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars started in 1998 as a collaboration between brothers Jared Leto and Shannon Leto.
Oh, yeah. So it was a
That's right,
collaboration
it
with
was
him. And
a brother thing. Yeah.
it was a brother collab.
Some of the stuff he does now where he's like, this is a cult. Like he's trying to call his fan base a cult. And it's like, I don't know if you're actually trying to make a cult or if it's like your career has become an art installation. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? But I bet when you're 21, he's pretty cool. Back in the day.
Oh, yeah. That was great. I enjoyed the drunken side of it all.
Yeah.
And it will be fun to maybe do Jared Leto's voice in the background of that.
Oh, yeah. Totally. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I just imagine him in his emo makeup looking over at them like, why are you here? Just let me live.
I'm an artist. So, do you have any connections on these stories?
I mean, I would just say it's a very, very small connection, but I feel like you mentioned in your story that the Oui-Oui.
The Oui-Oui.
The Oui-Oui.
The Oui-Oui grocery.
Yeah, the Oui-Oui grocery was a staple.
And the mustard in general was a staple to the diets, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the mustard was a staple to the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that the Ranch Bowl was a staple in Omaha to our community. So I guess that's the only connection I could find. What about you? Did you hear anything?
No, I don't think I can with this one.
Oh,
Like
okay.
ours were very different. I mean, when you do one that's based in a small town and then I'm doing one, I mean, technically mine was a small town, but it was also in France and it was also dealing with such a large scale thing like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of hard to connect, but I like the staple thing.
Mm-hmm. That was just simple words.
Yeah, I had
That's our connection.
the mustard was the staple of their diets, and the French people were having a hard time surviving without the mustard for their fries,
Mm-hmm.
just as I think that your Nebraska people needed the Ranch Bowl to survive.
It really did.
Did you spend a lot of time at the Ranch Bowl personally yourself?
I went there when I was probably like little baby Kimmy was 21,
Mhm.
probably walking around with some pigtails. So I was in the Ranch Bowl one time and I was there for a Good Charlotte show. That's what pops
Nice.
into my head. And I walked past Benji and brushed his arm and I was like, oh my God, that was the coolest thing ever. He's the best.
Oh, those were the coolest guys.
It really
back
was.
then.
And then they got on stage and it was like right in front of you. You can't beat those little concert venues where you can get so close or far away depending on what you want. But there's nothing like seeing a band like that in such a close spot.
I love those situations. I was right up on Coheed and Cambria once, and I thought that was
That's so
pretty
cool.
sweet.
Yeah, that is super cool.
I'm cool with the staple thing. And when Nebraska lost the Ranch Bowl to Walmart, I'm sure it was probably a lot like when the French people lost their mustard.
I'm sure it was just totally the same thing for sure.
I want to thank you for coming on here. And if anybody wants to check out Kim's show, she has True Crime Rhymes with Vodka. You guys have, you're over 100, right?
Yeah, we're close. We're getting up there. We release every other Friday, and check us out. Just like the Nebraska state motto, we're not for everybody, but we're here. Check us out. We have fun.
Yeah, and we know here at Live Laugh Larceny that we're not always for everybody either, but we have fun with what we do, and that's all that matters.
And thank you for letting me and Danny come hang out. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Danny, thanks for being here as well. I'm sure you'll be in a little bit of the episode. I know you're not in front of a microphone. Thank you for your audio assistance with all this, because behind the scenes, we have both had some major technical difficulties.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And I will do Amanda's job and say, I hope everyone is having a great week. And I'm hoping Amanda's feeling better. I'm sure she is by the time this comes out, or at least I hope she is.
Hopefully.
And we will probably have her back next week. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we are all doomed.
Doomed and waiting for Amanda to come back. Feel better.
Come back, Amanda. See ya.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for letting me run this show on my own. I promise Amanda will be back next week. If you want to tell us about any of your weird phobias, whether it be aerophobia or arachnophobia, go ahead and find us on social media. TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Live Laugh Larceny. And I know we haven't been doing much of these, but we actually take listener stories. If you don't think you're a good story writer, go ahead and send us the gist. We'll do it in our words. Send us an email at livelaughlarceny@gmail.com or send us a DM on any of our socials. And what's that you say? You think I'm killing it at doing this outro on my own? Why don't you go ahead and give us 5 stars at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Good Pods? But I am going to still give it the Seriously Sinister twist. Ooh, that's not our name anymore.
That's all right.
Wow. I have not done that before.